guys, we might have a Black Swan event. And that is with the DOJ suing Binance for fraud and destroying Binance. Now, I think the chances of it happening are very, very low. We know the DOJ, the SEC, and a lot of the American institutions have been after Binance for a very long time. There are also rumors, although Binance has denied them, that Binance was thinking about shuttering its US arm to save its international business. That part I can actually believe, because it's a lot of trouble and their US business is a tiny, tiny part of their international business. Although they probably want that US section to actually be bigger, which is why they didn't just basically like hightail it out of the United States. Everyone wants to be in the US market, whether you want to believe it or not. It's still by far the biggest market out there. So let's not get anything mistaken on that. Everyone still wants to be in the US market. It is still by far the biggest market out there. And I do actually think that people will actually fight to stay in the US market. To some people's dismay, because some people want the fall of the US and the fall of the dollar. That's not actually going to happen. But if the DOJ sues Binance and they're successful, it could mean bad things to the crypto industry, because no matter how you put it, Binance by volume is still the biggest crypto exchange in the world, and the DOJ is actually accusing them of fraud. They want to throw CZ in jail. That's a lot more serious. On an unrelated note, Binance has denied, but has been accused of trading $90 billion a year in China. Now, let's not forget, China is actually where crypto is illegal to trade. It's been illegal since 2018. Yes, they might change that next year, but as of right now, it is illegal to trade crypto in China. And you're guessing, how might they actually do this? Well, if they're doing it in China, I'm sure some of the officials know, and I'm sure they're almost all in on it as well, because they probably make a lot of money from this. And that's probably why they want to open the crypto trading up, because they can profit from it as well themselves, because they're corrupt. But either way, Binance is considering to be sued for fraud in the United States. Now, the DOJ is hesitating, and because they're hesitating because they're not wanting to cause an FTX-like collapse at Binance. But we have to remember something. FTX didn't collapse because of the DOJ. FTX collapsed because FTX was commingling funds. Binance is not in the same financial position as FTX. They haven't actually lost anyone's money. So I think it's going to be a much harder case against Binance. And because they don't want an overall market collapse, they're thinking of looking at civil penalties and fines for Binance. Despite the fact that only Binance.us operates in the United States. Now, obviously, there's a lot of pressure from other countries to go after Binance, but Japan has given them the okay, and I think other countries are eventually going to give them the okay as well. They're going to reapply for a German license as well. So I don't think this Black Swan event is happening, but it could be the one Black Swan event, honestly, outside of Tether, which I don't think is happening either, that could actually bring the market to new lows this year. But I think the chances of it are under 10%, and I'm not really worried about it. CZ doesn't seem to be too worried about it either. I don't know if he has connections or he just thinks the case is complete BS, which I kind of believe it is. I think it is for some political reasons. And there's a lot of anti-crypto people in the US and they want to see Binance fail so their exchange can come up as well. There's a lot of political BS going back and forth. I won't really say anything about it. Not going to really vouch for it, but there is a lot of that going back and forth, as we all know. So Binance could be a Black Swan event, but I don't think so. I don't think it's a great time to pick up BNB right now just because of the legal issues, but keep a close watch on it. And if it's just a bunch of fines, it might actually be viable to actually pick up some BNB because Binance, once they're out of the woods, they will probably grow. So that's the issue with Binance. The SEC is ready to consider Ethereum futures ETFs. Now, I have never been a fan of futures ETFs, and I am still not a huge fan of futures ETFs. I think they're just ways to control the market without people actually buying the actual coin. I am generally against them. But futures ETFs does open up the way for spot ETFs for Ethereum, which I would actually be for. And you got to think, if they have Ethereum ETFs, they got to have other ETFs as well. XRP might be next in the United States because it does actually have clarity. So that could actually spur a wave of investment in altcoins if altcoins actually get the ETF nod, assuming there's enough demand. And I do think there's enough demand. And like Van Eck has said, like there is no reasoning behind the SEC's logic in these ETFs. And Van Eck is absolutely right. There is actually zero logic in a lot of the stuff the SEC does. But they're the SEC and they can afford to be illogical because of that. Might drive us freaking insane. And yes, it probably does drive you insane that the SEC can be completely illogical and you can't read them. But that's just how these things actually work. I don't really also know why the SEC likes future ETFs better than spot ETFs, because I think futures ETFs allow you to manipulate the market more than spot ETFs, although some might disagree. Future ETFs can easily be leveraged, and most of them are, and it's just a lot of day-gen gambling, and like the big players can leverage futures ETFs with futures contracts without buying the original coin at all. And when they do that, they can massively affect the value of the coin without actually buying the actual asset, which obviously leads to a lot of market manipulation. So I'm not a fan of futures ETFs, but this could open up the door for a spot ETF of Ethereum. And more than a spot Ethereum ETF, I think this does actually open the door for like futures ETFs of like XRP and even spot ETFs of XRP and other coins. So I think that part of it I like, but the futures part of it, really not a big fan of. Fitch has downgraded the USD. This happened yesterday. They downgraded from AAA to AA+. Why has that happened? It's not because the US is owed a lot of money. The US has owed a lot of money for a long time. It's not even really because of the inflation and everything. It's because we keep on holding the debt ceiling hostage. Because, like, the GOP continuously holds a debt ceiling hostage, and that creates uncertainty. And that uncertainty is what Fitch is downgrading for. Now, they don't only do it when the other party is actually in power, because like they let their president spend however much they want, and the Democrats are never really going to hold this debt ceiling up because they want spending for their programs. Obviously, whether you think that's good or bad, that's another thing. But the thing is, like, if you continuously hold the debt ceiling up every time, even though if you never let it default, that creates a lot of fear and a lot of uncertainty, and ratings agencies don't really like that. Of course, it's being used as political leverage and a political weapon, but, agencies are going to downgrade you if you keep playing with the debt ceiling, because if the U.S. defaults, that would be a big catastrophic event. If they stop funding a lot of the government agencies and cause a lot of job losses, that's also a big event. So holding the debt ceiling hostage, although it's a brilliant political weapon, it is not very good for your credit rating. It's like you're saying, it's like you keep on saying to your credit card, oh, I'm not going to pay you. I'm not going to pay you. And even though you eventually do, once they really squeeze you, just you mentioning that you're not actually going to pay them over and over again means that they probably don't want to issue you any more credit cards. And that's why Fitch downgraded the USD's rating from AAA to AAA plus to AA. Now, they're one of the major ratings companies. The other ratings companies haven't actually done the same. And Yellen has actually said that they're doing it off of faulty data. But but realistically, you do actually make a lot of people nervous if you continuously say you're not going to pay the damn bills. I mean, if I was loaning you money and you kept on saying that, I would probably stop loaning you money. I don't know about you guys, but that's just something that, that just hits me. The LTC halving has happened, and it ended in a whimper. LTC did not pump, and because Litecoin did not pump, I do not think Litecoin is actually going to dump right now. For a pump and dump, the pump has to happen before the dump happens. And because Litecoin didn't pump, the dump probably isn't happening for Litecoin. But that's fine. I don't think a lot of people actually care about Litecoin anymore. Back in 2019, when they had their pump, Litecoin is at least used for a lot of trading for small coins. I don't think it's really used for that anymore. A lot of those exchanges where Litecoin was used in that way kind of died. And since they died, I think Litecoin's use case is getting lower and lower. So that's why it didn't even pump off this halving. And because it didn't pump, I don't think it'll actually dump at all. So I think Litecoin's safe to buy. I still wouldn't buy it because the Litecoin Foundation's been broke for a long time. They basically have no developers anymore, and no one actually cared about their Mimble-Wimble thing. And Charlie Lee has basically left the building ever since he sold at the top in 2017. I'm not really sure if he ever bought back in, but even if he did, it's probably for a very, very small amount. And I think most other cryptos have more headway and have more potential in the future than Litecoin. It's an oldie but goodie. I kind of care about it because Dogecoin is a fork of Litecoin, but realistically, like, I don't think the potential for Litecoin's future is actually there. And it's basically an old and dying coin, and it will eventually just go the way of the buffalo. So Litecoin, definitely wouldn't tell anyone to actually invest in it right now. But if you're an investor in Litecoin and you're afraid of a gigantic dump, that's also probably not happening, just for the fact that it didn't actually pump. And some of you are wondering, is the Bitcoin halving going to be like the Litecoin halving this time? My answer is no. I do not think the Bitcoin halving is going to be like the Litecoin halving this time around. Bitcoin's on another level. Everyone's depends on Bitcoin, and Litecoin is just kind of screwed by itself. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you, and have a nice day.